well-connected neighborhoods. Sorry, I'm hearing some noise. If we can just keep it down. More local people into good jobs and training. So all of these, what we want to achieve as a city is Wolverhamptonians. So Wolverhampton people are called Wolverhamptonians. Wolverhamptonians will live longer and healthier lives. So our target is not that Wolverhamptonians will live richer and richer lives. Our target is for Wolverhamptonians to live longer and healthier lives. So, into Woba, yeah. So basically that's what our intentions are. The second slide is about Wolverhampton Health and Wellbeing together. So we have this HWT. So basically the director is telling me, I didn't really know about this until we started talking about this topic. So the HWT will Health and Wellbeing, Wolverhampton Health and Wellbeing together. Part of it is the integrated board, Okoro. Then we have the Wolves Council as part of it. We have the police as part of it. And then we have, I just put a few here, but in reality, it's Royal Wolverhampton NHS Trust is part of this HWT. Backcountry NHS Foundation is part of it. West Midlands Police is part of it. West Midlands Fire Authority. You might be thinking, the Fire Authority were in with health and well-being. But I'm going to give the pay WhatsApp. Give one guy here bagos okuna Lagos. The money jacka ha wore mmiri. Now, thank you. See, people are thinking about me. This is crazy. It is much better. Okay. So West Midlands Fire Service. Anybody where you say fire service where you be with health and well-being. With Wuloba in Nigeria, they might look at the bucket now. It will come here as well. What about the films from the place, right? So all these things that constitute to that where the life expectancy. So when you've now inhaled all of this, it causes problems, One of the speakers talked about physical health relating to health and well-being. It does. Physically, when you have pains. So people were wondering, why did you have 2 kids? Your mother had 9 kids. I was pregnant when I was pregnant, I went in on check I do like career, I check I do like uni, when you hold on, I'm done. So after the first child, I'm like, I'm done. My mother came and said, done again, I'm on my 9. I will be half, I'm say, I said, you brought me up, you trained me in school, you weren't educated yourself, but you understood the importance of education. You trained me properly. So you trained them, you trained the child, that means you trained me for me to be able to have a better way of thinking, better expectation, better aspiration. So that's it. When you're in physical pain, it just sort of deviates your priorities. Your priority, I couldn't even dress up and wear high heels. I couldn't, And when you feel physically unable to do stuff, they talked about, I will keep referring to the 2 speakers because the 2 speakers were just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So when you keep, when you can't go out, they talked about socializing. When you can't go out, so how do you break that stress? How? My husband is going to work. I'm just there. I'm just there in the whole place. And don't forget, I'm new to this country. No sooner did I come, I got pregnant. Trust me. So I'm new as well. I don't really have network. Never had any family when I came. Never knew anybody really when I came here. So it was depressive. It was. So I've sort of deviated. West Midlands Fire Service is part of this health and well-being thing. Wolverhampton Voluntary and Community Action is a huge part of it. I'm a huge advocate for voluntary organizations, and that's one thing our ethnic group don't do a lot. Actually, why? Why wouldn't you wake up one morning, organize a litter pick in your street when you can watch the white neighbors doing it? Why wouldn't you do it? Because you're not paid? Because you want to go and do extra hours and earn more money? can't do that. You've come to this country to look for a better life. You emulate the good things Haneme and you do it as well. You know? So I tell people I'm very blatant, and they know me in the council, you know. I tell people, some of our black people, say, no matter how much you know in this country, you will be. And that's only be you cannot want more than one more. The guy can love see 2 months holiday. Give them make a sharam the whole place. Even if that may make a share, because she give you image here. No, I'm being frank, right? So you got a game again. I got a school, I said how British. Fine, they are British by paper, right? They're British by birth, they're British by anything. But you want your beer. So I tell my children, you got on your channel to again or on your child on the Napatragan and their country. Now I made it up to you, you sit down. Like seriously? You know? So I know sometimes there are disparities and we're fighting inequalities and all of that, but you know, because I'm not charger, even I'm more, isn't it? Local support hubs. I were local support hubs in Wolverhampton. As part of funding, they make sure now this health and well-being in Hakubukaya is our reality because that's our target. So the good thing as well, notice it's not our target, the local government. Everybody, there is 60 councillors in Wolverhampton. Everybody, whatever you're doing, even if you're doing like the odd case work in your ward, it has to be channeled towards health and well-being because now the core strategy council live. So everybody is working in a way that Wolverhamptonians are living healthier and better lives. So that's the difference. Like back home, and where do you know Imo State? You say I lay here our core strategy. And where do you mind here our core strategy? Has in the how many months I'm sorry, got 18 months. Okay, again about the Palau. Because she made way for coming in our core strategy. Okay. I'm not going to make it right, but the lay core strategy in the Imo State, the lay core strategy, all of us as special advisors and as commissioners, we now towards one goal. So that every 4 years, you know, Imo State people live longer. Imo State, all know our priorities, area. So you have to make a big towards Uzoni area, you know. Because you need to sit down afterwards and examine yourselves, right, and say, have you hit your core strategy? So yeah, another discrepancy between government back home and here. And when you core strategy, go to Renon at the end of your term. Oh yeah, the core strategy. So what's the point now? I get you know what you got a village on your own without escort. Back home I had escort. Me, I was how many years coming on? Let him to escort them. I'm athletic, I'm from the sports background, my master's is in sports and exercise science. I used to be a footballer. You know, I can run if someone is doing like this, we are adventurous, we crazy, I'm very adventurous. I'm happy to do that, right? You're telling me to go with police? Mm-hmm. Going with police as well even compromises your own safety. Why not? I'm saying, if you get a police is robot, and I'm like, improve my alcohol for something volts. Bigger police now. And the guy I want to know. I'm saying, Chineke, who the crazy person is after the lunatic is looking after the asylum. That was the situation we were in. And I said to them, I cannot be part of this. Has Neo 2008 people. As the one man's landlord travel and see, I'll travel on Ahlam. I got my wrong so I cannot sit with you people, grown-up people. I'm not going to have core strategy. You don't know about for job, but for job, and let me do that back. Why would you now? 1 naira, get you a biggie. And what do I know before you promote it? Even though you're 20 cars, you won't now. When the Queen, you know, I remember it was 19th, just a few days ago. It's my birthday, September 19th. I was in London. You know, the entire presidents from different countries were there. It was a regal service, huge. Just name it, everybody was there. When she was going to be lowered to the floor, to the ground, hey, we got the crown. And then we got everything. That was when, that moment, yeah, Queen of England, we're not talking about anybody else. This is a woman that is well respected, that's earned her respect as well. For her to be put down to the ground with nothing, if that does not explain to you that life is futility, then I don't know what else will. So our family house, bringing it back to Hendio Chadirela, because he might be watching and saying, this girl, I wrote all these things, you went and start saying another thing. Local support hub, family hubs, everything here. Where you can, unless you're in Wolverhampton, this could make sense to you, because I remember using one of these actually. So we have East Family Hub, Rocket Pool family, Gracely family, Bingley family, and all of that, Dove family, yeah, hubs. You can use this as the young people you're still giving birth. Find out these hubs. Other where I will I can work here. I can wear a solid hall. I can wear a Dudley. I can wear a Samuel. I can wear a, the 7 combined authorities have all this type of stuff. So reach out, find them. Like I said, when I was pregnant, I had to find something. So you have to. When you have born, you gotta look for you gotta run to that. I like to speak to people when I see good people, because sometimes when we go to psychosis, sometimes we people learn them because my husband is not evil. My kids are not evil as well. I didn't have time to put into teaching them, but they like languages. They speak French and Spanish. I know that's not evil, but So anyway, I'm just gonna whiz through this because I've pretty much said what I've come to say. Even though I'm more than happy to share the slide, I'm more than happy to send you like everything the director said, sent over. Further methods, parenting support, all of that, maternal, prenatal, mental. My 2 aunties, which I like him again. I'm not into that. Local initiatives, community engagements, please. In this country, make sure you engage with the community, not just in the but as well. About somebody's country, that matter. So they got I tell my children, I said to them, I couldn't say English. I was giving them, I'm not you that came in 2008. But I got memory biological I'm telling you the truth. I ain't gonna sugarcoat anything for you. Because if my kids are not happy, I can't be happy. So why would I not then tell you the truth? Teacher at school can the truth more than breaking a month. No. I don't disrespect your teachers who listen to them and everything, but anyway, I'm wearing sala, So community engagements, parent care panels, CYP, children and young people needs assessments, but it's good though, familiarize themselves with them. So this is the most important takeaway that everyone has to remember. I want to share these ones with you guys, then I'm going to call it a day and just go and sit down because I don't want to Columbia again. So in conclusion, sorry guys, can you just be quiet a bit? In conclusion, I want you guys, when I say you guys, I'm part of you as well. So I want you guys to ask yourselves, what traditional ways work for you? So even though we've talked about why, you can listen to soft music, and it might be that it's the hard music that works for you. Immediately the chair put that music, everybody had to watch, so you can relate. That watch alone is, Auntie, help me. You're releasing, what do you call it? You're releasing something. In churches sometimes it brings that police guy in school. So you know that guy, So ask yourselves what traditional ways work for you. when I run elections is the most tense period. Get on my mental health that time, or my well-being. I'm still getting well-being because I wake up in the morning, I just wear my trainers, and I don't like trainers. I like high heels and stuff. The only reason I'm wearing this because I've been out in football and stuff with my kids. So during elections, you cannot wear high heels because you have to knock all the doors. What can Nigeria? I will put that cash. What can Nigeria? I will put the street nile. Kwaka, sell them. Kwa hale here on half 4 years hat like atro. You want black, so you can sell the choweki. Change our handbag. Change our handbag. Grogi senior. Game at an election are very different, you know. And as a black person, I can get a seat now with your party, I would label. I can get a seat like in my like he would Canadian. But I'm changing my cat here that he tipped up on the Aki. So you get those kind of stuff. So that is my most tense period, the election periods, because I know I'm up against it. I'm someone who tells myself the absolute truth. You know, I don't like to rest on my laurels, and I tell myself I tell my kids a brutal truth. Take him some bad. I don't think she's the Jiwai because I know what awaits you out there. I'm out there working with white people, so I know you don't have to know your onions, right? You don't just have to know your onions. You need to know how to farm it. You need to know how to bring it. You need to know how to cut it. You need to know how to make it. How make one dish with it? You make 10. Can you 3? 3 also you will have mixed race. Ginger like I'm Mauritius, your accent is change the you can multi cut here like 10 times now. So all hand on alien. What could you do to improve or maintain your mental health? What works for you? What works for you? Me, Nigerian music worked for me during elections. Yeah? But during chamber is different thing. White people still I have to listen to like seasoned politicians because you have to be able to put your points correctly out there. So music worked for me. If I want to go out in the morning, I'm thinking, I don't want to knock another white person's door because my area was conservative, predominantly conservative. Always been conservative. I'm the first black person ever elected that place. Last election, I married 2 conservatives were elected in my ward. I'm the only Labour, and I still won the 2 of them. So I got the 4 years. The second person got 3 years. The last person got 1 year. So I beat them like hands down. Yeah. So what works for you during those times? I have one music in the morning, taking my airport. You know, so I will be like, I'm knocking on your door with complete optimism, right? I'm knocking on your door. You're coming out with your beautiful 500. My area is very rich, so rich areas vote conservatives. So I'm knocking on the door. I know that this person will be conservative, so I'm not going to run away because I need to win, right? So I'm taking Nigeria. I'm stressed, but I put my Nigerian music. Nigerian music will make you like your tempo just goes up. You know, I'm not like the pastors give me 500,000. Pastor Jimmy, they say you can find it before you know. Anyway, I finished talking. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Counselor. That was something, wasn't it? We are all raised up now. Now we welcome our own Inspector of Police, Mrs. Michelle Lubez. To us. Thank you.
Inspector Mrs.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Right, wow. I think Celia did an amazing job. I don't know where to start with that. You made me laugh so much, especially your last joke. Wow. Seriously. Okay, so I think the next time we do an agenda like this, when we do an agenda, we have Celia. She has to come last. What do you think? Yeah, this is an act to follow, right? Okay. So what I want to do now is to take you to a little bit more serious business when it comes to mental health. I feel bad because, as I said, you should have come last because what I want to talk about is a bit deeper than, yours was very light and really, really positive. And we want it to be positive, but when you talk about mental health and the police service, what do you think? Give me one word. Sorry? Yes. Yes. What's the ultimate? Death. Yeah? Okay. So when it comes to police service and mental health, it's disaster. I think when the uniform meets mental health, it's disaster. So what I want to share with you is, as my people, as we say, what do you need to know about policing? What do you need to know about our current response to mental health? So I won't take too long. How many seconds have I got? Okay. Right. So I'll be really quick because I know I'm going to drop off Rebecca, my daughter, at university. So right. So I'm showing this because people always ask me, "Are you a real police officer?" Yes, I am. I didn't want to wear the uniform. I just thought it would be a bit strange, Imagine walking in here in my uniform, and there might be some people without Bali, who've got Bali. The number of times I've said, "No, I'm one of you. Seriously, don't come. I'm one of you." So I thought I'll show you. This is a very recent photo of me in my uniform. So this isn't my operational uniform, but that's what I look like. Just in case you see me in uniform one day, this is what I look like. Right, so let's talk about policing then. Let's talk about some issues. Our GP, has she gone? She's gone.
She's gone.
That's fine. Well, our doctor's still here, so bear with me because I will be sharing. Hopefully you know this new response to mental health, but I think people need to know how we'll be responding from now. So just a few findings from HMIC. For those who don't know what HMIC means, it's Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary, possibly His Majesty now, because we've got a king. So some of the findings in 2018 said there's a rise in mental health demand. Imagine 2018, that was before COVID. So you can imagine how bad it is now. There's reduced and limited opening hours of so many facilities, as you'd agree with me, isn't it? So there's that insufficient response to the vulnerabilities in our communities. There's more rigid referrals, so the waiting list is so long, years and years, and it's unbelievable, especially when it comes to, we're talking about disparities and disproportionalities when it comes to mental health and black people. So for black people, most times we don't have the inner, we don't know the networks, we don't know how to sort of get the right one. So our waiting list is even longer. And then there's that huge demand on policing. Now coming to policing, there's a huge demand in policing when it comes to welfare checks to do with mental health. So if someone is having a crisis, what you do is, all people think about is call the police, isn't it? I know a few people who have reached out to me saying, I haven't seen my daughter for years, she suffers from mental health, and we keep getting that. So it actually takes up a lot of our time as a police service. And as we said earlier, mental health and the uniform, police uniform, doesn't work. So, what I want to share now, I want to first of all apologize to those who this might sort of affect, because I just want to share some stories. I try not to make it too recent, and also I try to take it away from our community, just in case, people know somebody that knows somebody. So I've tried to make it a bit more general, so it's not a story about Igbo people, just in case you know their families. So if we look at this, okay, I just want to share some stories that hopefully you don't know who they are. I seriously don't want to bring any trauma to anyone here. So this young lad was 24. His name is Olaseni Lewis. on the 31st of August 2010. He died when police officers restrained him in a psychiatric hospital in London. That's one. And then if you go on, these are just few incidents, not too recent. I tried not to make it too recent. Sorry for that's him and his gran, and you can imagine the impact that would have on his family. Oh, I'm not showing. Okay, maybe it's for a reason. Maybe I shouldn't show it, just in case. Maybe it's good not to show, I think. Right, so another example is Oladeji Adeyemi, 41. So he was being tasered. He was tasered by the police at Chelsea Bridge. It was on the Chelsea Bridge, was tasered. He jumped into River Thames and he died. Sean Riggs is another one, schizophrenia, 2008. He was restrained by officers and he died. And then October, mixed race male died shortly after being restrained by the police officers. Okay, so a bit of bad news. Well, there's a reason why I say this. There's a reason why I say this. Right, okay. Right, so just a few stories, and I'm sure you know lots of stories in Birmingham. I purposely didn't put Birmingham. This is mostly other forces, not West Midlands. But there's been a lot of stories around mental health and the way the police service treat mental health. Right, so my question, as some would ask, so if my family member is suffering from mental health crisis, who do I call? Still call the police. But there's a new policy that you need to be aware of, and this is very, very critical. It's called Right Care, Right Person. So it's a new policy that so many, I don't know if you agree with it, but I know the NHS, a few people don't necessarily agree with it, but I think it's positive because, one, it creates that clarity as to when the police officers need to attend. Right, I don't know if you remember, there's this footballer in West Mercia, he had a terrible crisis, really popular footballer, the officers got there, he started fighting, the parents called the police, the dad called the police. They got there, he started fighting, officers dragged him down, one stamped on his head, and so many things happened, and he died. So you'd agree with me that in most cases, the police service, even if you call us, we're not the expert, and we shouldn't be the first to attend. Because when someone is having crisis, you'd find out that once they see the uniform, or once they hear our radio, we have radios, or when they are tasered, I'm not a specialist in mental health, that's why I say the police shouldn't attend. But you can imagine the impact that I'm sure our doctor would tell us the impact of that. So that's what we're reducing. I'm talking about West Midlands, not so many other forces, but West Midlands, we're starting that process where if you ring the police, because you don't know who else to ring, we would answer the call, but what we then do is to ensure that the right agency or the most appropriate agency attends. So we won't go sending our officers. Some officers are crazy anyway, sorry I'm saying that, but yeah. So we won't send officers because we're not trained to deal with it. So the reason why I'm saying this is if someone is going through crisis in your family, call the police service, but tell them to call the appropriate agency that can deal with it. Obviously, if it has to do with life, to protect life, to prevent crime, then we have to attend it. But there's that big risk to whoever is going through that mental health crisis. But just be aware, this policy has started and we are really, really pushing it. So this doesn't mean that we'll stop our service to vulnerable people in the community. No, we won't. We'll still attend it. You still need to call. But there's a process now where when you call, we will check, do they need to be section 136? I'll talk about that later. Are they dying? As in, do we need to be there to take them to a place of safety? If you say yes, then officers will turn up. But if you say, well, they're critical, but I would rather, if it was my family member suffering mental health, I would rather, if I call the police, I'll be saying, please send the most appropriate agency out. Don't send your officers out, send the most appropriate agency out, or people who are trained. There are people who are specially trained, when they see or deal with issues like that, they'll totally de-escalate it. But our officers, we're not trained to de-escalate, we're trained to jump on you, drag you down, especially if you're a black big man. Well, no comment on that one. Okay, so, right, so the policy helps to minimize contact with the police service, so get to know that there'll be minimal, we try to minimize contact with someone who is suffering from mental health. Sometimes there is, sometimes the service is closed early or there's no one to send out, then we have to step up, but we try our best to make sure we're not the first ones to arrive. We also, if you do call, what we do is, for instance, you call the police service or you dial 999, there'll be an assessment. So once the assessment says that officers don't need to attend, then we will not attend. Don't see it as, even if we don't attend, we have to get someone out to you. So if you call and someone says to you, sorry, we're not attending, it's not for us to attend, they drop the phone. No, we don't do that. We have to send you the right person. Okay, so just to finish off now, so I talked about that before. Key consideration for the police service to prevent and detect crime. There was a recent, there was a young lad who, I think he moved to Manchester. He was suffering severe mental health. He used to live in Enugu. A friend of mine knew him really well. I think it was in his early 20s. Started to play football, moved to Manchester, had a massive episode, killed his girlfriend. Officers got there, they killed him. It's heartbreaking because this is someone that is loved. He's never had the mental health crisis that people know of. Of course, men do suffer it, but they keep quiet, especially young Nigerian men who are meant to be strong, especially Igbo men, strong men. Yes, so they don't say until so he died, and there was there's a lot of inquiry around it. And one of the issues, I had to ring my friend because I know it's related. She knows the family really well, and trying to convince her that the police said we did the right thing because he killed someone. So we really didn't have much choice. We did, because if I attended it as an Igbo woman, as a Nigerian, as someone who understands it, it's different. But you're dealing with people who already see black young men as aggressive, as powerful and strong, as whatever they think. So yes, all I'll say is that story is just so we watch out for our young men. Watch out for our young men. Watch out for people you think needs help. Because ultimately, if they commit crime, they kill somebody, the chances are they'll get killed. Or because if we have to restrain someone who kills, or if it's got a knife, then we have to protect ourselves. Okay? So, suicidal ideation. I just wanted to bring this because that's very key in our society now. You're talking about our GP, and they're talking about majority, a lot of people now suffering that suicidal ideation, the thoughts and those feelings. If you know someone or you are going through that and you don't know who to call, please dial the 9s, 999, it's not 911, 911 is America, 999 is here, dial it and speak to somebody. And what they'll do is they'll send the right person out to you. They'll send the right person out to you. So, I think I'll stop there because of time. And if you have any questions, sorry, I won't be here to answer because I'm running off now. But if you have got any question, pass it on through Stadobi, the Women's Secretary, and I'm sure I'll get an answer for you. Okay, thank you. I hope I didn't dampen. I feel like I did dampen good. But, generally all I'm saying is call the police, but know what your rights are. Know what the options are. Officers, if your family member is going through mental health breakdown, officers don't have to attend to even escalate it, to make it any worse. Please make sure they send what we call an MAA, most appropriate agency, and that's your right to make sure it happens. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know, Michelle, you say you're going where you won't be for the question, but these questions are very important. Make the time, please.
I'm driving
maybe
to.
take questions straight away.
Okay, should I take questions now?
I think we can take questions for her now.
Okay, just for me, sorry, I'm driving to Reading. My daughter's waiting, she has to get to uni, get her keys to her apartment. Okay,
any questions? Can you raise your hand? Let's see how many questions we might attend. Yeah, you got one. Another 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, and you. All right, can we start with the numbers? 1, please.
What I want to ask is it possible for the police to train their staff on mental health care?
Yes, we.
So they will
Yeah.
know what to do when they get
Yes, yes. So we do get.
Or maybe
training.
you admit a mental nurse in your
Yeah.
police force.
Yeah. Yeah, so we definitely get training. For those who don't know, sorry, I didn't really do my introduction. So I'm a police inspector and I've got 21 years service. I've been in the job for about 21 years in Birmingham, West Midlands. So all through my 21 years service, I most likely would have done about 10, 12 mental health training. How long was your training as a? Yes.
Well, you start with your first 3 years as a specialist
Yeah.
lecturer.
Uh-huh.
But before then, it doesn't matter when you pass your exam.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay. So altogether about 5, 6, 7, 8
Probably
years.
6, 7 years as a
Okay.
psychiatrist. training.
Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant. So you can imagine, you compare my 1 hour NCALS internet training to someone who actually learns it. And you have to remember, policing is so big. We deal with the highest demand you can ever imagine. There's burglary, there's theft, there's everything going on, serious youth violence that we have to deal with and respond to. And we can never be the master of everything. We're master of crime, but when it comes to mental health, we're just not it. We can't train our officers well enough to deliver the service the doctors or the right people would.
Okay, thank you. Are you still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Training only on how to admit acute mental patients, not just to be a mental staff. How just that area of admitting
Yes, yes.
the acute,
Yeah, I get what you, and that's the reason why, for as long as police service have been, we've always responded because we think we know how to do it. But with all the deaths that have happened, we know we're not good enough. We're just not the right. We get the training, but when you see the amount of death in police custody or to do with mental health, you know that some officers also go through their own mental health. They shouldn't be dealing with someone with mental health either. We're not the professionals. We thought we were, but we're not. And that's so evident, especially with the black community. We ask and we need people who are properly trained to do it.
And I just want to say, Adobe, but from what she was saying, it's quite clear that when people are aroused in that state, where the adrenergic system is kicked in, they have this fight or flight response. Either you run away or you destroy whatever is in your path. So when people are in that mental state, you imagine that the police who also goes into that scene also has the same feeling that someone is going to hurt me. So it's a situation where, and as Michelle is explaining, there's the perception that the black man, basically black male or women, but mainly men, are strong. So anyone who's going into that environment is ready to fight as well, not run away, but fight. And with those adrenaline that has kicked in, your heart racing, anything can happen to that person. That person can die even when they are being restrained. So what Michelle is trying to say is that if someone who knows how to talk the person down, how to gently start to have a conversation and engage well, and who has learned how to talk to people in a way to get out what the problem is, to dampen down rather than escalate it. That is where the problem is. Yes.
Yeah, very true. And there's nuances, the nuances of mental health. You guys are the professionals, and it's just not something I think the police service have been able to manage properly.
Thank you very much. Shall we have the next question now, please?
just what I say now.
Yeah.
We always call them
Yeah.
when they kick off.
You call the police? Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm just because
Yeah.
they need to be trained. Because we always call them.
No, we are trained. No, we are trained. We're very trained, but we're not nurses.
They are not nurses.
Yeah.
They are
What
trained
trying-
police officers.
Yes.
Who know about mental issues.
Yeah.
Right. Next one.
Please, just a quick one. The Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." And from what I have heard from most of the speakers, as a pastor, we have all sorts of situations that this sort of meeting could have helped a lot. So, is there an opportunity for you to be invited either to a church environment, even the one the politician said, I think such information, we need the nuggets of information, particularly as I pastor a minority church, kind of race-wise.
Yeah.
I think this sort of thing is needed. And is there an opportunity for you to?
Yeah, of course,
invite them to come
there
and
is,
do it?
yeah, because our people need to know, don't they? I think, as you say, the knowledge, when it comes to neurodiversity or mental health generally, I think our people tend not to know as much as they should. Even if we're so educated, we still don't know those networks. And of course, why not?
Yeah, there is always opportunity. This our meeting here today is only a first of many. So this is what we want to do in ICAM, to get people to know what is happening in their lives. So this is going to happen again. We're going to do things like this again. Thank you. Yes, next question.
Yes, I have just two questions, if you permit me. First one is, you mentioned that when a policeman is called, to basically for black men, they have already have that intention that they are going to fight. Is there a way, as a police inspector, black lady that is in that force, is there any intervention to kind of, change their mentality? Because that issue, because if you watch what has happened over the years, this thing you say just confirm what is going on. So is there any plan to kind of
Yes,
convince
my
them?
sister, there is, and that's more my specialty now, really not mental health. My specialty is around the police risk action plan, which addresses the disparity, not just with mental health, but everything when it comes to cultural awareness. And disparities is everywhere. It's not like institutional racism, don't we? Look at the criminal justice system, the number of young black people are stop and search, and how we do things, mental health, missing. There's so many, a vast area that my role now, because I lead on it, I'm the police risk action plan manager for West Midlands, so I lead on it. And there's a lot of work going on that I would also like to inform people. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about. But yes, there's that cultural competency and cultural awareness training I'm pushing now through the force. But you know what, it's been there for so many years. It will take a lot of years for it to change, not just in policing, I think the society generally.
Councillor has a question.
Thank you, I'm not finished. I have two questions. My second question is, assuming you live in an environment and you feel that you're not safe, and that is your feeling when you get there, and as time goes by, you see people actually telling you, by virtue of maybe vandalizing your team, making you, when you go out, come back, you see that your things are not there. Who do you call to? Who do you,
Yeah, well, if you're a victim of theft and vandalism or unsafe behavior, you call the police. And if you're not getting the response you need, that's why you've got the council there, and you've got the MP and so many people to find your cause. And you've got my number, please do ring me. If you get my number, ring me. But the police is the first point of call when you feel you should be protecting life, preventing crime, and protecting everyone. So that's our job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Remember, we have as ICAM. Are you a member of ICAM? If you join,
It's not. When you join, you have my number.
If you join,
I'm joking,
I must always tell ICAM.
Maybe I should take some for my sister.
Yeah. Oh no, she's going with you. Yeah.
Councillor Liberty here. Thank you so much. I learned a lot as well. Yeah, I was looking forward to your speech. I've heard you speak at several events, so I was actually looking forward.
What else?
My question actually is the same thing with the other people. I shouldn't be asking you, but I will ask you because I'm absolutely frustrated.
Don't be at home.
Other people will say the same with the politicians. but we are falling to pieces at the moment. Every single department is exhausted, right? And obviously police is part of those departments that we rely on in England. My question is the same, but I'll ask it differently. Each time you turn on the news, or you go to social media, or you speak to your neighbors, or even now in the presentation, the same scenario is reoccurring. They've gone into a situation, they didn't de-escalate it, they made it even worse, you come out with a dead body. 8 out of 10 times is a black person. Someone that could have been saved, basically. So, and then we get a press release, we are learning from this, the police are making sure this is not going to happen again. And then before you go to bed and put the television, same thing reoccurs. So my question is, are the police really learning from this? I wanted a statistical figure. I wouldn't put you on the spot because I know probably you don't have it to hand, but it'd be interesting to see within West Midlands, what are the statistics? How many of this, is it actually coming down or is it going up? And I would want to see what that looks like in the last 5 years.
Right, that's right. So, one thing people don't really know as Nigerians is, or as Africans, I'll give you this secret, I'm sure some of you already know. The police service here, we police by consent. We're not like the Nigerian police where you can't challenge them, you can't ask them questions. Here you have to. The police service, we have to. When you ask us questions and you send in a freedom of information request, we have to provide it. So I'll push that back to you, because as you say, I haven't got the figures. But I'd say, ask your Wolverhampton Chief Superintendent, ask our Chief Constable. You can ask those questions and get the response. And you should be holding the police service accountable for what we say we'll do. We should be protecting you, we should be saving lives, we should also be making sure you feel safe in your home. And if you don't feel that, you should be asking the police service or the Chief Superintendent. Every LP, a local police area, has got a Chief Superintendent. You've got one, I think you've got you've got Richard, I can't remember his surname now. But you can ask them, you can send letters in, you can ask those questions, you can challenge us so we get better, you can ask for data. All this data, I can provide you with the data if you want. All this data, they're available, and it shows a lot of disparities and a lot of issues that we are trying to resolve, but it will take some time for us to get there. But when we have people like yourselves asking those questions and challenging us and telling us to do what we should do, then why not? I mean, ICAM is such a big organization, we should be asking those questions. What are you doing about the black people? I was at Wolverhampton some time back, I had an event and I was showing them stop and search data, showing them all the data. I can provide it. But I want to ask you to challenge your local LPM.
Can I add something quite simple? How come the Chinese and the Indians aren't in the same position as us?
We're talking about glass. I'm sorry to have to say, putting the Caribbeans and the Africans together.
Right.
How come the Indians, most of the consultants in the hospital, quite a number of them.
Yeah.
How come black, and they look at Africans, I'm sorry to have to say this, and then the Caribbean background?
Yeah. Well, I think the history is different, isn't it? History is totally different. I think when you go back to cultural trauma, it's all those, when you talk about cultural trauma, it always impacts not just trauma in our community. Sorry, we're going into my research and plan.
Okay.
Yes, I think we're going over something. I think that there are issues, disparities everywhere. It's not just black people, but it's just more critical when it comes to the black community.
I think.
Yeah. I think we have another 5 minutes.
Okay. Any other?
Should it be mental health? Should we stick to mental health? Because if you bring out the fire and you know.
To be fair, these are all connected points, and foundational as well. It's not really a question to say, but just a comment. It's very interesting listening to this, and a lot of the questions has been towards the efficiency and effectiveness of the police force. But whichever way we look at it, we still live in Obodo, and Obodo is Obodo. and they're run by Odoibo, and Ndibeke will think the way Ndibeke thinks. It's as simple as that. The question we have to also be, and also, I don't mean that we don't do anything bad, but also is, what about our community? What are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, so for example, you know, we talk about ICANN. Everyone thinks ICANN is just a welfare, you know, thing and social thing. It can be so much more to groom our young kids to start thinking right in terms of how to handle the police, how to handle their mental health. You know, the parents know what to ask for amongst themselves, and other people in the community. After all, it's a village that raises children, right? Can point, see things, and comment, and not the other person now think, why are you talking about my child that way? Because we're all in it together. How do we develop such a community? One way is that the peers don't necessarily understand their parents, or parents understand their peers. So the new initiative, which you all know about OBO, means that peers can start talking to each other and can start to look after each other rather than feeling on the outside. So as much as our vice chair is doing so much, pushing so much for us in the police force, how much are we doing within our community to push forward things amongst ourselves? So that we can end up being like the Indian community you're saying, or being like the Chinese community, but it takes every single one of us to actually do something. You know, so sorry for ranting off, but you know, I'm always saying
that's really good. That's very good, Chair. And I would add something to it. You asked what can society do? What can we do as part of you know, the councillor talked about us being in, you know, this is their home, we're like guests. But you're here, how can your voice be heard? How can you be part of that governance structure when it comes to police service, the NHS, mental health trust, whatever it is? We sit there, we don't let our voices be heard. We don't even help to create those strategies. We're not part of it. We don't even understand it. So the police service, we create those forums, like being part of the independent advisory group. How many of you are part of the independent advisory group in your communities? How many of you? I mean, we push it every single day. How many of our black people are part of the stop and search scrutiny panel? How many of you even know it exists? Exactly. How many of you are even part of the neighborhood watch or school governance? So, you know, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of opportunities for us to start to influence the society. We can't influence Nigeria. Most times we're influencing on our WhatsApp page, saying how Nigeria should be so great. Influence where you are. You've got that control. Police service, seriously, we're giving opportunities for people to be part of it, but people just don't want to take it up. And then something else that I'd like to speak to you about, the link between racism and mental health. I think that's very critical, and I think we need to start to explore that. When you start to go through those microaggression at work and those racism, the impact it has on you generally, the reduction in life expectancy and all those things, I'm sure you know. But really interested, thank you so much. I hope there's no more questions.
And excuse me, Inspector, please, I just want to say, what you told us here today is mind-blowing, some of it to me, I don't know about anybody else. And a lot of things we need to know here that we don't know as a community. And we would like you, because you are in the field, in that field, we don't know anything about policing. I've never heard most of these terms you use here today. And yet I've been in this country, 50 years or so, yes. I don't know anything about police, although my son is a police officer, but he doesn't talk to me about policing, so there we go. And if you will please put us through to knowing these things so that we can add our name to advisory, this community of this, and that we want to do that. I want to be in on it. And I'm sure a lot of people here want to be in on it. So if you just make us aware of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have a big hand for our inspector who has giving us all this knowledge today? Thank you. We would have liked you to join the next item 7. But as you're going to go now, we will make sure that you get yours. Right. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. Right. A big hand, please. A big hand. Now we will have a short break. Well, the break please, everybody can come and get whatever they want to have. If it's ready, I think people who are selling it.